So I was thinking about all of the cosmetics items that I own and all of the cosmetic items that I love, and I realized that a lot of the ones that I love are from MAC. And I think that's because when I was younger and I first started to get into makeup, MAC was the place that I really saw very clear shade selections for people of darker skin tones. And I didn't see that as much in the drugstore, so that's where I gravitated to. And I think over the years I've kind of grown to understand what is worth the splurge from MAC and what isn't. And because of that, I decided to make a top 5 MAC makeup products video. I think I know enough to say what I believe are the things that are definitely worth your money and what they produce of quality, and what I think you can get somewhere else. So I'm going to start with the kind of 2 things that I think most people think of when they think of MAC, with good reason. And the first one is lipstick. MAC lipstick is expensive. If you live in Canada, it's about $18, $18.50? Whatever, somewhere around there, and which is pretty expensive for a lipstick, considering you can get one at a drugstore for about $6. But I do think that they have a very unique shade selection, and I do think that the formula of a lot of their lipsticks are really outstanding and kind of worth the splurge, especially when you compare it to other high-end drugstore brands. For certain other high-end drugstore brands, like Urban Decay or anything, you can spend like $25 to $30 to $40 to $50 on a lipstick. So on that scale, I kind of think $18.50 is not so bad if you like treat yourself once in a while. And their lipsticks are really fantastic. So they are definitely one of my top 5 MAC products to purchase. I brought a few shades to show you. The first is Impassioned by MAC. And it is a bright, bright, bright pink shade. It's Barbie pink. It is not for the faint of heart. It is super pigmented. That's the thing. Depending on the formula you get, unless it's like a luster or something like that, MAC lipsticks are super pigmented and super long wearing as a whole. So, I mean, their lipsticks are really fantastic. There's also this one, which is one of my favorites. It's Lady Danger. And it's like a bright orangey red. I love this during the summer. I've done a YouTube video already on my top 5 favorite MAC lipsticks, and I'll link it below, so definitely check it out. But as a whole, I think MAC lipsticks, but as a whole, I think that MAC lipsticks are definitely something that are worth the splurge at MAC. The second thing that I think are worth the splurge at MAC are eyeshadows. Now, I know you can definitely find a lot of good drugstore eyeshadows. Let's not lie to ourselves. Not a lot of good drugstore eyeshadows, but a few good drugstore eyeshadows. But in terms of higher end eyeshadows, I think MAC do a very large selection of eyeshadows. I think they kind of saturate the market in the sense that they do so many eyeshadows that it's hard not to find something that you won't like in it, which is why I think they're worth the splurge. You'll definitely find a lot of unique shades and a lot of unique finishes that would be harder to kind of selectively find within each brand everywhere else. I've recently started a MAC eyeshadow palette because I'm so fond of them, and I think they're beautiful. Which ones are these? I know I really love this one, which is Espresso, and which is just like a kind of deep, rich, cool toned brown. It's good for blending through the crease or filling in your eyebrows. I also really like this one, which is, this one is Amber Lights, and it's really gorgeous. I mean, you just need to look around. It's not, no one ever is really pushy there, so you can kind of spend your time looking around. I've always had really helpful, I've mostly always had really helpful people who work at MAC, and the makeup artists there are really nice. You can just kind of walk there to the eyeshadow section and just swatch for days, and they just have a lot of selection, which I think counts for a lot when you're kind of looking for something specific, or if you don't know what you're looking for at all. The third of my top 5 MAC products would be the Pro Longwear Concealer. this is my second or third bottle of this concealer. It has a little pump. Don't mind how dirty it is. I'm sorry, it happens. And this is the perfect under eye concealer. It is crease proof. It lasts forever. I have so many good things to say about it. I own this concealer in the shade NW40, even though I'm a shade NW45 at MAC, because I highlight it with it under my eyes. I only ever use it under my eyes. But I mean, I've never found anything that works as good as this ever in all of the concealers that I've ever tried under my eyes. So I mean, this is definitely worth the splurge. It's definitely a really nice concealer, and in terms of consistency and lasting power and the fact that it's crease proof, I really think it's quite a unique concealer. So definitely worth it in my books. My fourth product is a specific foundation by MAC. And I've tried a lot of foundations by MAC, and I'm a fan of a lot of foundations by MAC. I know a lot of people kind of have issues with it breaking them out or giving them problems with their skin. I've never experienced any of that. I don't have really sensitive skin, and I know that people with sensitive skin must deal with a lot of different issues that I don't face, but in terms of me, someone who has fairly normal skin, I love MAC foundations. I've owned Face and Body, I've owned, I don't even know, Face and Body, Mineralize Moisture Finish, I've owned like, I don't know. I've owned a lot of them. I want to say I've owned at least 5 or 6 different kinds of MAC foundations, but the one that I have always turned to when in need is the MAC Pro Longwear Foundation. This is, I think, the first foundation that I ever purchased. Not this exact bottle, but this line of foundation is the first foundation that I ever purchased, because it's really, as the name states, long wearing. Whenever I know I'm going to be out for a really long time, or I know I have a lot to do, I can put on this foundation. I know that I won't have to worry about it 4 hours later, or 5 hours later, or 6 hours later. I don't touch it up. I don't bring powder. I put it on and it's fine. And I think that says a lot about a foundation. It does oxidize a slight amount, but not enough that it would ever really make you feel like it doesn't match your skin anymore. I definitely find that with MAC foundations, some of them oxidize a lot, and it's really irritating because you think that you have a shade match, but you actually don't, and you kind of have to wait for 15 minutes to tell if it's going to match you. But I don't have that issue with this one. Pro Longwear is a foundation that I've been using since I was, God, 15, 16, and it's never led me astray. I can't count how many bottles I've had of this, and I'll probably continue to have a lot of bottles of it because it's just really great. In case you're wondering, my shade is NW45, but I think I said that earlier that that was my shade, so that is what it is. My last and final of my top 5 MAC products is the Mineralize Skinfinish. My Mineralize Skinfinish is in the shade Dark Deep, and it's a finishing powder, but it's not cakey ever. Like, I'm saying, you can pile this onto your face and never have to worry about it being too much, or never have to worry about it looking cakey. It always looks nice. It does have the slightest shimmer or glow about it, but it's nothing that would make you feel like you're a vampire in Twilight. It is more like a luminous look rather than a really sparkly, glittery look. It's really fantastic. It comes in tons of shades. I just think that it's the best finishing powder I've ever owned, and I constantly go back to it when I'm like, what powder do I feel like using? It's normally this one, because it just does good things for my skin. And another thing I love about MAC as a whole is that they have such a large shade selection that they really don't leave anyone out. Like, they have very pale to very deep skin tones, and I think that speaks a lot for the brand as a whole, because it's so hard sometimes, if you're not someone who's right in the middle of the skin tone spectrum, to find something that you think works for you, or isn't too light for dark skin, or isn't too dark for light skin. So that's another reason why I really love the brand. But back to the Mineralized Skinfinish. It is lovely, and it is just the perfect light finishing powder that gives the slightest bit of coverage, but just overall makes your face look great. And I'm all about my face looking great. So those are my top 5 MAC products, but I thought I would have 2 honorable mentions because I do love these 2 products a lot. They just didn't quite make my cut. The first of my 2 honorable mentions is MAC Fix Plus. Now, this is my second bottle. I think each bottle has lasted me a solid year or almost a year, or like 8 to 12 months, I would say each bottle lasts me, and it's essentially like a charged water. It's like a skin refresher and a finishing mist. I use it when I feel like I've piled on the powder or foundation a little bit too much. I spray it on my face just to break it up, and it just really helps it not look as cakey or set in. I also use it if I'm using an eyeshadow and I kind of want to give it a foiled finish. I get the eyeshadow on the brush and then I spray it with Fix Plus and apply it, and it kind of acts as an adhesive. I mean, I'm sure you might be able to use water for that, but I just feel like Fix Plus works better for me. I've used it as a toner before. I use it when it's really hot and it's summertime and I just need a little bit of moisture on my face to help me not feel so dead and dried out by the sun. I mean, it's just a really great product, and it's one of those things that it's really hard to describe why you like it so much, but once you buy it, you find like a million uses for it, you know what I mean? So Fix Plus definitely deserves an honorable mention because it's a really great product. They do also offer it in travel size edition, so if you're not sure about buying the full size, they do offer a little cute guy for traveling or testing, whatever. The second of my honorable mentions is going to be the MAC Studio Fix Powder in the shade NW45. This is a really full coverage powder, but it somehow also manages to feel pretty lightweight on the skin. Again, it's not something that I generally feel cakey about, but that could just be because I always use a light hand with it anyways, because I'm aware that it's full coverage, but I never feel like I've caked it on too much. This is what I use on days when I don't feel like using foundation, but I kind of want my skin to look somewhat fantastic. Do you know what I mean? So I'll pat on a little bit of concealer like under my eyes, and then I'll just use this on my face, and because it's full coverage, it does enough for me. Again, it comes in a lot of different shades, and it's kind of foolproof. I mean, you just kind of pat it all over your face and hope for the best, and it's really nice. It also comes with one of these little spongy things. Mine is clean because I just never use it, but I'm sure that would be useful to some people. And it's just a really nice powder. It's got a really nice consistency, like it feels really silky and smooth and finely milled, which is why it doesn't cake up as much. So that is it for my top 5 MAC products and my 2 honorable mentions. I hope this video helped you guys out a lot. I know I find videos like this really helpful when I'm looking into getting into a brand, but I don't know where to start. So I hope it did the same for you. Let me know down below if you have any other brands that you want me to talk about, because I wear a lot of things and could help you with the things that you want to wear. So I hope you guys have a really happy new year, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it and to subscribe. Bye guys.